everybody, it's Bryan, and you are listening to the Course Building Secrets podcast. Whether you're a coach or a CEO, the success of your team and clients is based on your ability to deliver a consistent experience and guide them on the fastest path to results. This podcast will give you practical, real-life tips that you can use today to build your online experiences that get results and create raving fans. Why? So you can monetize your expertise and serve more people without adding more time or team to your business. If you're looking to uncover your $1 million framework, package it, and use it to scale, you're in the right place. Let's dive in. Hey, course builders. Hey, today I want to talk about change and how you go through the change process and what that looks like. So often when we're looking at doing something new, when we're trying to figure something out, solve a problem or a challenge that we're working on, and it's something that we're not used to doing, sometimes it's hard to keep moving through that. Sometimes it's hard to look at, what do we need to do? How do we need to think? Who do we need to be in order to make the change that we're looking to make? So I wanted to talk about that today in our podcast episode. And for those of you who are watching, I decided to change it up just a little bit and do this one on video, because why not? I don't do that very often, but wanted to show up in this way today as we talk about making change, right? So here's the thing is I want you to think about something that you're trying to do differently than you've done in the past. Maybe you're trying to learn something new. Maybe you are starting a new venture, or you're trying to scale the venture that you have, and you're really just sort of trying to figure things out. And so I want to talk about that today because I think that first of all, just so you know, you are not alone, right? There are a lot of people who are going through that. I was talking to a woman this morning who is in the middle of a career transition. And so she's trying to figure out what she wants to do and really just sort of changing the way that she shows up. And so it really prompted me to think about this concept of, how do you work through change? How do you think differently? How do you be differently? How do you do something different? Because it's hard, right? It's hard to kind of get out of your comfort zone and look at how you do things a little bit differently. So that's what I want to focus on in today's episode. Okay, so here is the thing. I want you to look back 2 years ago or so, and I want you to think about what happened the day that you could no longer show up for your customers or for your clients in the same way that you used to, right? Either you have a job and you didn't have a job to go into anymore, you had to stay home, or if you were serving your customers and clients in person or in a way where you had to show up one-on-one and that you couldn't do that anymore. I want you to really think about that, right? That was a hard scenario to go through. You had to change your whole approach of how you served or how you showed up or what you did. But here's the bottom line that you probably went through is my goal is to continue to serve or make an impact or do what it is that I'm passionate about doing, right? So think about that. Just take that in for a minute, that you still had a need to show up in a particular way. Maybe it was a different way than you were used to. I have a client who runs a fitness studio. She was all of a sudden forced into a situation where she was no longer able to go into that fitness studio and train and teach classes for her people. So all of a sudden she had all these customers, all these people who were in her world that she could not show up and serve in the same way that she always had before. I had another customer who did live events and traveled, and that, didn't happen, right? I had another one who did education. She did classes in person. That couldn't happen anymore. So all of a sudden, this change was forced upon you. But for most people, there was still a need to serve. There was still a need to show up. There was still a need to make an impact. And so what did you do? You worked through that forced change to still show up in the way that you could at the time to help the people that you were helping. So I just really want you to sit with that for a moment, that you had a couple of things going on. One, you were forced into a situation that caused change. Whether you liked it or not, doesn't matter. You were put in a position where you couldn't waffle. You couldn't oh, I'm just going to stay and do this because I'm comfortable. You were put in a position where you had to make a change, and a very quick change. You also probably had that feeling of either people are counting on me, or I feel such a calling to make an impact and to show up and to help people that I need to keep doing that, right? Like there was no question that whether it was obligation or passion, you had to continue to show up and help people, or, meet with people or be around people or fulfill on the work that you had sold, right? So you had the change. It was forced upon you. You still had a need to help and serve and figure out how to show up for your people, right? And then the third thing is you had to get creative. You had to get scrappy. You had to think, okay, well, I'm stuck in my house. Everyone else is stuck in their house. How do I continue to connect with people? So a lot of times that was through Zoom or through a phone call or whatever way you did that, right? So this client that I was talking about who owned a fitness studio quickly started holding classes in Zoom from their basement, right? So all of her instructors went into their basement. They cleaned it out a little bit, got some equipment or some, laundry detergent containers and taught classes. They just showed up and did it. They took imperfect action and they still showed up for their people. Was it perfect? No. Was it polished? No. But guess what? Nobody cared, because the need to show up and serve and make an impact was greater than the need to make something perfect and have it be the thing that, took forever to figure out. So I just want you to go back to that experience for a moment and think about how you worked through that. What was your sort of answer to this particular challenge that you had? How did you think about the change? And then how did you show up? Did you show up complaining the whole time? Did you say, you know what? This is our reality. We're just going to show up. And you know what? It's awesome because I get to wear my yoga pants, right? Like, how did you show up in that moment? And then I want you to really think about how you were able to serve. Did your people still have you show up? Did they still get results from you showing up? And were you still able to make an impact in the way that you wanted to during that time? So just sit with that for a moment, because I want to talk about using that experience the next time that you are going through change, the next time that you think about, how do I do something different and show up and really kind of change? So often, when I'm thinking about changing something, it's either I have to make a very quick change, right? Like I'm just ripping off the Band-Aid and making the change. Or sometimes I feel like it's like a big giant ship that needs to change, and it takes so long for that ship to change course versus just being something that I can change just immediately. And I think the harder the thing is, the bigger the thing is, the harder it is to do that. And so one of the gifts that I feel like happened during this time that we all had to shift is we were given the ability to see that we could do it, right? Change didn't have to be so difficult. And it was something that doesn't have to take a long time. The woman I was talking to this morning who was changing her career was, well, maybe I'll take a couple years and figure out what I want to do and dabble in this and dabble in that and whatever else. And I said, well, what happens if you just made the decision and just started today? Like, why do you need to dabble? Why do you need to take a couple years to figure out what you want to do? Why not just start moving in the right direction and, kind of evolve from there? And she said, well, I don't know. I guess I've never thought about it. I thought I had to just take the time to kind of figure it out. And that's not really the case, right? So I think when you think about making a change, be it you're moving from offline to online, you're trying to think about how to do things differently, how can you do that as quickly as possible? So the challenge I want to throw out to you today is one that's a little bit specific, but I think that it will serve you really well. And this is a lesson for me and hopefully a lesson for you. And the challenge is, what happens if you couldn't show up and have individual one-on-one client interactions anymore? What would you do? How would you do it? Like if tomorrow you learned that you could no longer meet one-on-one with clients, you had to either meet with them in a group or you had to give them what you have to offer to make an impact in their lives. You had to give that to them as something totally different than being able to meet with them one-on-one. What would that look like? And how would you do that? How would you do that very quickly? If tomorrow you were told you no longer have the ability to meet with people one-on-one, how can you restructure what you do to still make an impact, show up in the way that you want to show up that helps you fulfill your needs and fulfill your clients' needs? What would that look like? How would you do that? And then kind of write that out, map it out, journal about it, whatever you need to do that helps you figure that out. Do that and then look and see where are some opportunities where you can add some of those things in to help leverage your time, leverage your expertise, and leverage your ability to help your clients at the highest level without it taking all of your time and energy. So that's my challenge for you today is I want you to remember what it was like for you to pivot on a dime and have to do something different. And then apply that to a decision or some type of thing that you're working on today as you move forward. If you're here, most likely you're trying or you have an online course or an online program that you are working on scaling. And so if you haven't started yet, what happens if you only have that online course option in which to help your clients? What does it look like? What kind of experience do you want them to go through? How do you show up in a way that serves you and serves your people? If that were the only option that you had in order to show up. If you couldn't serve one-on-one, if you couldn't serve in person, what would that look like? How would that experience need to be crafted? And then same thing, if you only could work with them as a group. If you could only get people together in a group, live or online, you couldn't talk to them one-on-one, what would the experience look like? How would you make an impact? How would you help them get results? What does that look like? So really think about it from that perspective of this option is totally off the table. It's completely gone. And what does a new option look like? And how can you still make the best impact with that option? You may not believe that it's a better option. You may not believe that it's possible. You may not believe that that's what you want to do. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying if you were in a position like we were with COVID and you had to do it this way, what would that look like? How would you structure it? I want to challenge you to really think about that. And I'm going to do the same activity this week is how would you create that impact? What would that look like if it was in a different way? So there you go. That is my course building secret for you today is really think about that and what you would need to create in that different modality, online course or group program or whatever it is, where you could not show up one-on-one. How would you still create an awesome experience? All right. Let me know in the comments below or reach out to me. I would love to hear how this activity goes for you. All right. Take care. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. The best thing you can do is to take action on an idea or tip that resonated with you. To help you take action, I have a free gift for you that you can download in the show notes. During each episode, we publish an action plan worksheet and other helpful takeaways from our speakers in the Course Building Secrets Creators Lab. To register for free, click on the link in the show notes. Enjoy.
Hey everybody, are you a business owner ready to streamline and scale your business? Imagine solving the biggest business challenges with clarity, a strategy, and a clear plan. Hey, I'm Bryan, and I want to invite you to take the first step towards transforming your business with a free 30-minute discovery call. This call is an opportunity to discuss your goals, identify key challenges, and learn how my mentorship program can help you achieve the success you're aiming for. In just a half hour, we'll explore how you can scale your business by enhancing your authority strategy, engagement strategy, and retention strategy. You'll get personalized advice and a clear path forward. Ready to take the first step? Click on the link below that's in the show notes to book your free discovery call now. I hope to talk to you soon.